Okay, the Atlanta Falcons end up selecting a player who I really like out of Notre Dame, Xavier Watts, a safety who Falcons getting a couple of my favorite prospects in this draft class. Damn it, Falcons, as a Tampa Bay fan, not thrilled about that. But you know what? A couple of nice moves. Xavier Watts, to pair him with Jesse Bates. We'll get to Xavier Watts in just a second when we get into the film, but that could just be a great duo for some years to come. Jesse Bates still has some years left, 28 years old. I know in football years you're starting to get up there, but still has some years left for sure. So having him, I think, adding Watts could really help out this defense, which is clearly just what Atlanta's trying to do, right? They're offense was very good last year, especially when either Cousins was playing well early on in the year or when Michael Penix came in later on in the year. So that's definitely something that you like. And then you got to just make the defense better because you can't have that Carolina game at the end of the year, right, where neither defense could score or neither defense could stop the other team from scoring. I mean, getting Watts should be able to help prevent that. I just think it's a smart move. Interesting that Watts does ultimately fall a bit in this draft class, or in this draft. He was projected to go 49th. He ends up falling. Sometimes, though, it's a safety thing, right? Because there's been a couple other safeties who have gone, but, there isn't a ton of other safeties. It's not like teams are drafting safeties ahead of him with the exception of Andrew Makuba, who's also a good safety. So I wonder if it's just, teams don't really want to draft a safety now, in which case for Atlanta, find a way to get this pick and make it happen. I think it's smart. So, yeah, let's get into the film now and talk about why I like this player so much. So let's start off with the play you see on your screen, because one thing I do like about him is the fact that he is someone who will play physical. Like what you see on a play like this, because, again, 6 feet tall, 200 pounds. Okay, that's not the smallest safety in the world, but there are bigger safeties in this class, right? However, he definitely can play physical. This is an example where it's going to be a cover 2 zone. You see where he is on the field and watch what happens. So first, the beginning part of the play kind of doesn't really involve him. It's a pass underneath, but the receiver is going to break a tackle. So now for Watts, well, now he has to be the guy who can come in and make a play, right? However, that's exactly what he's able to do. He is a really good tackler, and again, I think really does make these plays work. So ultimately, that's one of the traits that you have to like about someone like him. Of course, it comes through in the run defense game as well, which for a safety, run defense matters, I think, more than people realize, especially if you're a free safety. Okay, everyone understands that if you are in the box, then yes, that's a very important, you're just playing run defense. You're one of the guys doing things. But for a free safety, where you see Watts is, he's lined up far away, a lot of times these are the plays you have to make. Watch, it's going to be a handoff, and you see that running back gets to the next level. And quite frankly, if Watts doesn't make this play, this could ultimately end up being a touchdown, right? However, again, you see Watts, he's going to make the play. Ultimately, he's a very good run defender. He's a very good tackler in general. And these are things that, he's going to bring to the table. Now, of course, this is not why you draft Xavier Watts for his run defense. You want to draft a guy who can cover well, and he certainly can do that. For example, something like this, he's covering one-on-one, right? Because sometimes you need to do that if you want to have something like this happen. So as of right here, what you're going to see is this is, you have this quick route going over the middle. When this play begins, you see right here, honestly, it's a good route. I mean, for Watts, he doesn't know exactly where this player is going to be cutting, so he can't tell for sure, and he's going to have to just adjust on the fly. I mean, it's hard to cover in these situations. However, he totally is able to be all over this, and yeah, if you need him to cover tight ends or halfbacks one-on-one, he's someone who's going to be able to do that, I think. And so I think that's what you like about him, is essentially he checks every box. I don't think he has to play a specific role. Sometimes you get these defensive backs and you're like, okay, in a specific defense, they should work and they're going to their specific defense, but things change, right? Players get injured and you have to adjust your defense on the fly. Maybe, the coaching staff's going to get fired in the next couple of years, and then, things go wrong, right? Things change. And so being able to have someone who can play different schemes and be versatile is very important. Like this one's another example of what I'm talking about, where it's, again, one-on-one matchup right here. It's going to be covering, the tight end on this play who's cutting more over the middle. And when this play begins, you see, again, not a bad route, but honestly, Watts is just all over it. I mean, this is just not a ball that should be thrown. However, the quarterback is going to throw the ball here. And for Watts, he's not just thinking knock the ball away here. watches, he's able to have good ball skills, and he ends up picking that pass off. So really a good play by Xavier Watts to be able to, again, he completely covered that play. It's not a throw that should have been made, period. But ultimately, once the quarterback did make the throw, he was able to adjust nicely and get the interception. So he's able to do both, right? Because some players can make highlight reel level plays. Some players maybe don't do that, but are consistent. To me, he is the guy who is consistent, but can still make these high level plays. Also, going over here, one critique of Watts is, 4.56 40, which, listen, for a safety you can get away with. For corners, you kind of can't, but for safeties, you can run a 4.5 and be okay. But ultimately, there's no denying that is just not a great 40 time for a safety, right? It's not a horrible one, but not a great one. And so on a play like this, where he is the free safety, you have a receiver who's running a go route towards the sideline. Can he get over there and make the play work? That's kind of the question, right? Or is it just essentially going to be like there is no safety on the play? Well, when the play begins, things are going to start off a little bit worse as he actually, I wouldn't say he goes towards the, too much towards the bottom of the screen, but essentially goes towards the middle of the field. So there's definitely a window potentially to get the ball, away from the safety. Now, you have to beat the corner as well, all that stuff. But how can Watts get over? Well, as you see, he has pretty solid range here. Again, you work the sideline, you could have made it work for sure, but ultimately that's okay. You just don't want to give up more than that, and you want to affect the quarterback's throw. Don't let the quarterback just put a bunch of air under it, which he really couldn't do. He did have to throw it and get it there quicker, which is what you want as a safety. So ultimately, again, he's just a guy that checks every boxes, and even his quote-unquote weakness, I think he plays well enough to make it not really a weakness. So ultimately, he is someone that, again, I think that sometimes we undervalue these types of prospects. People will say, well, what's the value in a safety like this that doesn't have the elite athleticism? There are bigger safeties and there are faster safeties, but ultimately he's just a good football player, and good football players help you win football games, right? He is someone who's going to, again, sometimes for defensive backs, it's less about the plays you make and more about the plays you don't give up. And he is someone who isn't going to make the mistakes, and that's what I personally like about him, why I'm a big fan of his game. But yeah, that's what I think about Xavier Watts. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that video and want to hear more of my thoughts, well, for one thing, you can check out my movie channel. Yes, I have a movie channel. You can check the link in the description below. I do some fun things like some movie reviews, even some TV show reviews, tier list, fun things like that, so you can check that out. Also, make sure that you are subscribed and paying attention to this channel, as there will be plenty of draft content. I plan on making a video for every first round pick, many of the other picks throughout the draft, and also I will do recaps for each team after the draft is over. So I will eventually talk about every single pick from your favorite team. Be on the lookout for that, as it will be out this weekend. And also, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter. I am at Jackson Kruger, or X, whatever you prefer to call it. But yeah, that's all I got. Thanks again for watching till the end of the video.